Okay. Okay. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be unto you. We are finished with the last ayah of chapter 2, chapter 13, and we are resuming today from ayah number 1, surah number 14. So we finished 13, we're starting 14. The first ayah and the 14th chapter titled Ibrahim, which is the Arabic name for Abraham, the father of so many prophets. Actually, all the prophets that came after him are of his children. So he is the father of all the prophets that came after him. So this surah starts off with the three letters Alif, Lam, Ra, to signify three letters from the Arabic language, of which the Quran is written, which is the fact that the Quran uses the Arabic language. And as we mentioned before, the letters that come that do not constitute an Arabic word in the beginning of certain chapters, they do signify the fact that of those letters, the Quran is made, which is a challenge to the Arab laureates and professionals to come up with something like it, since they claim that Muhammad wrote it. So the Quran uses those letters spread in the Quran in the beginning of certain surahs to remind the Arabs that this is what the book is made of. Bring something like it. Bring a surah, chapter, or bring 10 surahs if you can, or bring even one ayah like it. And for 1400 years and more, no Arab was able to bring something like it. Uh, as usual, whenever those letters are used, the following parts will be talking about the book, which is the Quran. So here it says Alif Lam Ra, a book that has been sent down to you so that you may get people out of the darkness into the light by the leave of the Lord unto the path of the mighty one, that is God, and the glorified one, that is also God. So it uses these two attributes or holy names of God, that He is Aziz, mighty, Hamid, which means full of praise, full of glory. So what does the ayah say? The ayah is saying that this book that we have sent down to you, Muhammad, the purpose of it is to help people get out of darkness into the light by the leave, by the permission, by the help and the support of their Lord, down to the straight path of God, which is called the path of the mighty and the glorified one. Then the following ayah, ayah number 2, it says, Allah is the one who has ownership and control of everything there is in heavens and everything there is on the earth. And woe to the disbelievers of a grave and very severe torment. This is a warning. Ayah number 3, those who give preference to the life that is short, this life, which the Quran calls al-haya ad-dunya, the lowest level of life. You know, this life is full of trouble. It is full of undesirable things, whether it is sickness or family trouble or business trouble or anything else. Despite that, some people give preference and priority to this short lived miserable life over the eternal bliss that is awaiting them if they live in submission to God. So this ayah is highlighting this. It says, those disbelievers are warned against severe torment that awaits them in the hereafter. And then it says, it is those who give preference and priority to this life over the latter life. And they turn away from the path of Allah and they want this which means this life to be crooked. They want it corrupted, whether it is corruption in faith, by associating partners with God, by worshiping and erecting associates with God, or by devising their own guidance and plan and laws for this life, contrary to the laws of Allah, contrary to the guidance of Allah. Allah wants this life to be easy, straight, and smooth. Those who disbelieve, they want life to be custom tailored to their liking. And because we are humans, what we like now, we may not like in a generation or less. So the Quran wants us to live by a solid source of guidance, not by trial and error. From generation to generation, people have been trying lots of things. The only thing that is stable is what is connected to God, because God is the only constant in this life. Everything else is subject to change. The only constant in life is change. So for us to live a stable, straight, clean, straight life, we have to hold on to the guidance of God, because this will keep us straight. So it describes further that they want this life to be crooked, and then it goes on to say, those are indeed gone astray. They have gone far astray, which means they have left the robe of God. They have left the gravity center of life, any life. And what they are holding on to are their own whims and desires, and those are unstable, and that's part of the trouble that we face in life. Verse number 4, and we have never sent a messenger except in the tongue and the language and the culture of his own community, so that he can clarify truth for them. So Moses spoke the language of his people. Jesus spoke the language of his people. Muhammad spoke the language of his people. So you say, oh yeah, so Moses spoke Hebrew, Jesus spoke Aramaic, and Muhammad spoke Arabic. That is part of it. But the language here is not only how you speak. The language is idioms, the language is culture, the language is what makes people understand, the language is examples and proverbs that you use. So the language has more to do with the culture of a community than just a spoken word and what it means in translation. So the tongue is one thing, but the language is how people talk and how people feel and how people express themselves. What makes them laugh, what makes them cry, what makes them happy, so on and so forth. So it is about reflecting the culture. So prophets grew up in a certain community, and they are normally sent to their immediate communities, of course. So they have to speak the language of the community, which means all the expressions that makes their community unique. So prophets spoke the language of their communities. And does this mean that all prophets are sent to their respective communities? The answer is that is true, except for Prophet Muhammad. So Allah tells us in the Quran, in the Old Testament, and in the New Testament, that Moses and Jesus were sent to the Jewish community, the children of Israel. The Quran tells us that Muhammad was sent not only to the Arabs, but he was sent to the whole world. His message is universal, which means it does not discriminate. It does not put barriers. It removes barriers between people so that people become one nation, one ummah, one community. All of them believe in God. All of them follow the guidance of Allah. All of them study and follow the book of God. And as such, they have so much in common that makes them less likely to war and fight, and more likely to cooperate and spread peace and justice. We are also told in the Quran that Prophet Muhammad was not only heard by or listened to by humans, even the jinnis listened to him. And some of them believed, because jinnis are creatures like us, except that they do not have physical bodies like ours. They are invisible to us, but we are visible to them. That's what the Quran says. And some of them are believers and they follow the guidance of Allah. Some of them are in denial of the message of God and they are rebellious. Those are the ones we call devils or Satans. Okay, so we have not sent a messenger except in the tongue of his own community, so that he would clarify for them. So Allah would let go astray whom he wills, and he would guide whom he wills. Very important principle to understand. Allah created humans individually with individual free will to choose. And what you choose, he would let you go with it. If you choose guidance, he will support you. If you choose to be consistent in following Satan or your own whims and desires or any other way, if you insist, he would let you go. He would let you go where you want. Sometimes, though, out of mercy, he would pick some people who chose to go astray, and for a divine knowledge and wisdom that we may not know or less than that even appreciate, he would pick some of those who were worst in their path and open their heart for Islam. But if you choose guidance and you insist to follow guidance, God would not let misguidance influence your life. If you love him and you follow him, he would protect you. He would keep you on the path. In either case, both types of people are tested, because this is what life here is about. Life on earth is about being tested. So this is not the land of reward or the land of punishment, even though some people are rewarded by gifts and bounties and blessings, whether they are accepting of God or rejecting God. Because this life is not the life of reward. God gives out of it to those who believe and those who don't. Sometimes you see a community of disbelievers who are better blessed and more blessed than a community of believers. It's a life of testing. But in the hereafter, it is not a life of labor or work. It is a life of reward and compensation. So in the hereafter, those who have done well by God in this life, they will be in the land of bliss, which is called paradise or the garden. Okay? And those who have done bad or evil, they will be in the land of punishment, or what we call hellfire. So it goes on and says that those who go astray, if Allah wills, he would let them go. And those who go into obedience and commitment and submission, he will support them and guide them further. And then it says, and he is the mighty and the wise. The description of Allah as mighty signifies the fact that nobody can force the hand of God. God will do what God wants to do. It's only his will. Nobody could force his will to do something or to stop doing something. You can make all the prayer you want and express all things that you like and ask him for the whole world. He will give you what he designates for you. It's all up to his will. Then it goes on ayah number 5 to give us part of the story of Prophet Moses and his people. So it says, and we've sent Moses with our signs, miracles, verses, and proofs and evidence to give your people, talking to Moses, from darkness to light and remind them of the days of God, meaning the days in which God punished previous communities, like the communities of Noah, the communities of Prophet Hud or Lot or other prophets. So Moses is told here, as he was commissioned as a prophet, that your purpose is to get people out of darkness into the light of God and to remind them of the days of punishment of previous communities, which here are highlighted as the days of God. Why are they called the days of God? It is the days where God shows his might and his punishment and his decree. So they are called to highlight what's done as something not to be forgotten. And then it goes on to say, in this there are signs and evidence for every patient and grateful human. Everyone who has patience, who is grateful to God, he would heed what happened to previous communities who disobeyed God. And number 6, and behold and remember, as Moses told his people, remember the blessings of God upon you, as he saved you from the people of Pharaoh, who were tormenting you and putting you through slavery and labor. They were killing your children and enslaving your women. And in this, there must have been severe trial for you from your Lord. Ayah number 7, and behold and remember, as your Lord decreed, that if you are grateful, I will increase you. And if you deny, my torment is severe. You see, the Quran always gives you this kind of the two sides relevant to the two choices that are relevant to the two paths, one that leads you to paradise and the other that leads you to hellfire. So it always talks about the blessings and the punishment, the reward and the punishment, paradise and hellfire, the land of bliss and the land of torment. So that we as humans never lose sight of what's at stake. Some people think that the language of the Quran or other scriptures is harsh. It's talking about hellfire, and fire is so harsh. Yeah, it is, because the reality is, it is. So Allah wants us to understand that what's at stake is a serious fate that you are facing. It is not something to take lightly. So, for example, and Allah knows best, we are humans. If we are taking a course, all of us together, and the professor says, listen, guys, the next test is going to have about 70% weight in your overall grade. Do we take it seriously? Do we study more than if it were only 10%? Of course. So Allah wants us to know that we have everything to risk or else everything to gain based on the cumulative choices of what we do in this life. So he gives us a very significant rule for us to understand. He's saying, if you offer gratitude, I will give you more. You see, ayah number 6, Moses was instructed to tell his people, remember the bounties of Allah upon you. Here, the ayah is saying, the verse is saying, remember that if you offer gratitude, you will be blessed with more. And if you deny and reject, my torment is severe. So to offer gratitude, you have to recognize the blessings of Allah that has come unto you. So ayah number 6 is saying, remember the blessings and the bounties of Allah upon you, so that if you remember those, your memory and reminder of the gifts of Allah should trigger your gratitude. But if you forget what you get, what will make you offer gratitude to Allah? There is nothing. So when Satan keeps reminding us of what we are missing, Satan wants to blind us regarding what we already got. Allah keeps giving and forgiving, and we humans keep getting and forgetting to our own detriment. So Allah says, just remember what I have given you. Don't focus on what you're missing, because if you keep focusing on what you're missing, you are turning your life into a miserable life. Because what you're missing, you may never have. But Allah is saying, if you offer gratitude for what you already got, then you are certain to get more from God. That rule is lost on the vast majority of humans, Muslims and others. Why? Because while the eyes tend to see what is tangible, when it comes to blessings, we look at the wishful thinking of our hearts and we forget our eyes. So you have food on the table already, but you're wishing for a different kind of food. You have a wonderful girl, but your heart is wishing for a boy. You live in the miseries of your wish more than you live in the blessings of your bounties. This is where depression comes in. This is where anxiety comes in. This is where despair sets in. This is how people fight people to get what is in others' hand rather than sharing what is in their own hands with others, so that Allah will open the hearts of everybody and everybody will be sharing and happy. Instead, we are both selfish and self-centered, and even we are aggressive enough to want what is not ours, that is in the hands of others. So if we just as humans live by this rule, that we are always focusing on what we got already, this will make us a grateful, species. Grateful means you always get more. Ungrateful means you only live in misery and you may never get except what God gives you. So ayah number 8, Moses is told, and he is telling his people, if you deny and reject, you and everybody on earth, Allah is the only one who does without anybody. If you talk about rich, he is the rich. If you talk about power, he is the powerful one. So Allah does without any of his creatures. And we are the poor and the helpless and the needy side, the creatures. Without him, we cannot have health. Without him, we cannot move. Without him, we cannot breathe. We cannot have even air to breathe. But all of those blessings are unfortunately taken for granted, and what we're missing is getting our maximum attention. So Moses telling his community, if you deny God and his blessings, you and everybody on earth, Allah is still rich and he is full of praise. Even if none of his creation praises him, he is full of praise on his own. So he is not full of praise because his creation praise him, but it is because he is full of praise. That's him. Then he raises a rhetorical question to his people, saying, haven't the news of people before you come unto you? Haven't you heard of the news of the people of Noah, the people of Ad, A-A-A-D, and the people of Thamud, the people of Prophet Saleh, and those that came after them, who are not known except to Allah? Their messengers came to them with clear evidence and science, and they turned their hands on their mouth, trying to shut their messengers off. And they said, we deny and reject whatever you are sent with, and we are full of doubt. We are full of doubt of what you are calling us to follow. With this kind of answer, what do you expect? What do you expect? They are shutting off the messengers of God when they talk to them about the revelation. They are not interested. Then their messengers told them, ayah number 10, their messengers told them, is there any doubt in God? The one who created heavens and earth is inviting you to forgive you your sins and to extend a chance for you up to a set term. The answer to their prophets and messengers was, you are no more than humans like us. You just want to turn us away from the gods that we and our forefathers worship. Bring us clear authority. Bring us the power that you're talking about. In other words, bring us the threats you are threatening us with. Or bring us the evidence, something clear, as if messengers did not have proofs or evidence. So the messengers answer, ayah number 11. Their messengers told them, indeed, we are no more than humans like you. But Allah blesses whom He wills of His servants. And we were not to bring you evidence or authority or proofs from ourselves. Nothing we can, but only by the leave of God. And on Allah, people who believe should rely and trust in Him. Ayah number 12. And why don't we rely on God even after He had guided us to our path, the path of light? And certainly we are going to be patient regarding the harm you have thrown on us. And on God, and only on God, those who want to rely on anyone, they should rely on God. And those who denied told their messengers, certainly we are going to drive you out of our land, or else you will have to join our own faith, which is idol worshipping or anything like it. Then Allah gave revelation to the messengers and told them, certainly we are going to destroy the wrongdoers. And number 14, and most certainly we will let you inhabit the land after them. This is true for those who are afraid and respectful and appreciative of my power and my dominion and my majesty, and those who fear the warnings that I give them, those who take my warning seriously. And number 15, and they asked for help regarding the people who denied. And they asked for help and support But every formidable tyrant will fail. They were relying on their power vis-a-vis a messenger or two in their midst. What are two people going to do? But Allah always saves the believers who are few while punishes the disbelievers, no matter how many, no matter how formidable, no matter how powerful they may be. And in real life, we have seen communities that were very powerful being thrown into the ash heaps of history, and others who were helpless rising up. This is part of the laws of Allah. He manages His creation as He wills, and He is in control. So today, the Soviet Union may control 1/6 of the earth. Tomorrow, it is not even 1/50. Where is the rest? Dissipated. Few years ago, it was the empire, the British Empire, ruling so much so of land that they said it is an empire on which the sun never sets, from the east to the west. Where is the UK Empire? Where is the British Empire? So Allah is showing us in real life, in real time, how nations rise and how other nations fall when they transgress the limits of God. So those who are asking for heavenly help will be fallen on their own swords. Then it goes on number 16. From behind him is hellfire, and he would only be given drink of water that is full of pus. You know what the pus is? You know, when a wound is drained and you get this white stuff out of it, it's called pus. This is what they drink in hellfire. And number 17, he would try to taste it, but he would not be able to taste it actually, and death will come unto him from every side, but he would never die. And from behind him is very thick, severe torment. So no food, no drink that you could swallow, and no savior, no exit. May Allah save everybody from this torment. Then ayah number 18, it says, the example of those who deny their Lord is the fact that their deeds in this life are similar to some ash. You know when you burn the coal and there's ash that comes out of it? So their deeds are like ash that is thrown in the air by wind in a windy day, and they are able to do nothing. They cannot get it back, they cannot control what it is, they cannot have what they done. Then it says, this is indeed what going astray is like. Going astray is a term that's used in the Quran to signify that Allah has set a straight path for humanity to walk to get to Him safely. Those who deviate from the straight path are going lost. This is what the stray direction is. When you stray out of the straight path, you are lost. Ayah number 19. Haven't you seen that Allah has created heavens and earth in truth? If He wills it, He would have wiped you out and would bring a new creation. Imagine Allah is talking to those billions and billions of humans that He has created. And He is talking about the heavens and the earth that He has created and prepared for them to have a decent, nice life here so that they are grateful and submissive to their Lord. And He's saying, guess what? Don't think big of yourself. If Allah wills it, He would wipe you off the map of the earth and He would bring a new creation, which means don't think great of yourself. You are in contrast to the earth that you walk and the heavens that cover you from above. You are very, very insignificant, all of you. Allah wants us to understand that we are insignificant. I'm sure some of us would hear this and say, wow, what is this? Why is Allah talking to us like this? If He is really a loving God, why is He talking to us like this? Because it's a fact. It's a fact. We hate facts. We hate a doctor who tells us you have cancer, but it's a fact. We have to accept it. We hate a pastor who tells us if you go left, you go to hell. Because we like to hear and see good stuff. But this life is not limited to good stuff. How could good stuff be a test? If we don't have difficulties, then this life will be paradise. This life is not intended to be paradise. It's intended to be a test and a trial to see which amongst us is going to do better than others. That's the purpose. So here is a competition, and after we cross to this next life will be the compensation, and those winners will show up and shine, and the losers, unfortunately, will be in a very bad spot. So if He wills, He would have wiped you and brought a new generation, and this is not a big deal for God. It is not a big deal. A man once asked Prophet Muhammad, how could Allah hold to account the endless numbers of humans that will be presented before Him on the Day of Judgment? How could He do it? He says, as He created them in billions, He would hold them accountable in billions. It is not difficult for Him. As He hears them all at once, He would listen to them all at once. And He will judge all of them all at once, even though His judgment is very individually tailored. He will judge everyone as an individual. We will go to Him as individuals, but He is going to deal with all humans all at once. So, ayah number 21, it gives us a preview of the struggle that would reflect what happened in this life. So it says, and they all appeared before God, and those helpless followers, they speak to the elite leaders, the arrogant elite leaders, and say, we were following you. Are you going to protect us today against the torment of God? Any bit? And the arrogant leaders would say, if Allah had guided us, we would have guided you, as if they never knew the guidance of Allah. If Allah had guided us, as if they are blaming God for their own choices. So if you could imagine, Pharaoh is one of those tyrants, right? And all arrogant leaders will be following on the footsteps of pharaohs. because pharaohs are given in the Quran as the epitome of tyranny. Likewise, if I follow anyone in this life, I better know where he's heading. Otherwise, I will be shocked to reach where he reaches. So the only one that God tells us to follow is a prophet or a messenger. Period. And as believers, you cannot believe in a prophet and exclude another. If you follow a prophet, you have to follow all prophets. If you deny a prophet, it equals the denial of all other prophets. And this is what happened when the Jewish leaders of the temple refused to believe in Jesus, refused to believe in John the Baptist, Yahya, refused to believe in Zechariah, refused to believe in Elias, and they killed 3 of them and they delivered the 4th to be killed by the Romans. That is not going to be acceptable. They can be as much Jewish as they want, but denying Jesus, killing Zechariah, killing John the Baptist, killing Elias is not going to be taken easy by God. After all, a messenger is a source of mercy, a source of light in the darkness, a source of guidance for those who are lost. So even if you deny them, but don't kill them, you know that all humanity, all throughout history, if you kill an ambassador, it is taken as a declaration of war against the nation that sent you the ambassador. So when you kill the ambassador of God, what are you doing? You are declaring war on God. Who's going to win? It's obvious. It's obvious. Allah will never lose. So the arrogant elite leaders will tell the followers on the day of judgment, if God had guided us, we would have guided you. Where it is now, they say, it is now similar for both of us, whether we are desperate or we are patient. We have no way out of hellfire. Meaning the followers and the leaders. Maybe one would ask, what about the followers, poor and helpless? They have to follow somebody to live. That is true. But not anyone will take you where you want. When you follow, you go where they go. So you better choose whom to follow. This is lost on humanity, unfortunately, and it's more so for our children who follow anyone they like or anyone that they appreciate. It is on us, adults, to guide our children that they need to be sorting whom they pick for a leader, whom they follow, because they will reach where their leader reaches. And if they don't have a choice in the beginning, they wouldn't have a choice at the end. But if they have a choice in the beginning and they choose to follow, they should blame no one for reaching where the leader reaches, especially in the hereafter. So here is a nice part about the role of Satan in this whole process. And the Satan says, after all is said and done, after all the judgment has passed on by God, he would say, God promised you the promise of truth. And I promised you and I reneged on my promise. And I had no authority or power to control you except that I invited you and you followed. I am not going to be your savior today, nor are you going to be my saviors. But now I am denying all the associations you ascribe to me. And I'm denying all the sins you ascribe to me. You see how much we blame Satan, right? He is going to plead innocent of anything he has done. He's going to say, I promised you and I reneged on my promise. What are you going to do? I had no power. I didn't force you to follow me, to go for a bank heist or for adultery or for any sin. I didn't. I only invited you. I whispered, and you liked the idea. You did it because you liked it, not because I forced you. So don't blame me for whatever your choice was. I am denying your association of me with God. And then he says, the wrongdoers today will have their own severe torment. Ayah number 23. And those who have believed and done righteous deeds, they are entered into paradise, under which rivers run, and they will stay there for eternity, by the will of their Lord. Their greeting therein is peace. See, the greeting of all the prophets to their community is peace in this life, and they teach their followers to greet each other with peace, and to treat each other with peace, to give peace, and to accept peace, and to spread peace. That's the basic message of all the prophets. So on the day of judgment, the people who believed and did righteous deeds in this life will be received with the greeting of peace at the gates of paradise. And when they sit in and settle, they will be further greeted and received with peace in paradise. There, peace is for eternity. It is not a short-term peace. And it is not a gift of a human, lest they take it back. It's a gift from God, who, when he gives for eternity, it is for eternity. Ayah number 24. Have you not seen how Allah has given an example of a good word like that of a good tree? Its roots are firm in the ground. I'm sorry, its roots are firm in the ground, and its branches are in heaven. So the good word in this verse is described like a good tree. What is a good tree? A good tree is a tree that is fixed. It has deep roots, so it is solidly fixed. Solidly fixed means nobody could take it easily. And when it says that the branches are high and it brings its fruits on season, every season, it means that nobody could stop the fruits of a good tree from coming. So likewise, the fruits of a good word, nobody can take it away. If somebody speaks good and his mouth or her mouth is sweet, and it reflects the goodness of their hearts, and is confirmed with their good relationship and good interaction, those are the people we all love, but few of us are those people. Those loving, caring, compassionate, supportive people are very few in the human race compared to others. Likewise, trees are rare, but when you get one, it is solid. What is the good word that the ayah is referring to? It is referring to the kalima of Tawheed, the word of monotheism. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. There is no deity or God worthy of worship but God, and Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. That statement, which is called the Declaration of Faith, is the best word a man pronounces. That's why it says a good word, like a good tree. Which means if you believe and submit, nobody can take your faith away from you. If you reject and refuse, nobody can forcibly implant faith in your heart. It has to come from within. So it produces its fruits every season by the leave of its Lord. And Allah shows and presents those examples for people so that they may remember. Ayah number 26, and the example of an evil word is like that of an evil tree. It is cut from the top of the earth and it has no strong roots. What does it mean? It can fly easily in the wind, like the ashes the ayah was talking about a few ayahs back. Okay. Then ayah number 27, Allah firmens the feet of the people and firmens their statement and speech by good speech in this life and in the hereafter. And He lets go lost the wrongdoers. And Allah does what He wills. This is ayah number 27, and I believe that the time is up, and this is where we stop. Next time we'll take ayah number 28 from surah number 48. So we finished 27.